Yes, I have been moved into a corner of our apartment. We've arranged some things, and so now I'm back here. This is actually the first day of finals week. 2 finals this week, and then I will be graduating. That is really exciting. Hopefully, then I'll have a little bit more time to read and make these videos. It has been a bit busy the last few months, so I've made some videos, read some books. After finishing Rhythm of War, I felt the desire to take a break from the high fantasy genre and read something that has been on my radar for a while, and which I had picked up at a bookstore a few months ago. This is 11/22/63 by Stephen King. As you can see by the cover, it's kind of a JFK book. I guess that doesn't really tell you very much, but this is a thick one. This is literally the second book I've read this month, and it is huge. I need to read some shorter books next, huh? This is my second Stephen King novel. I read it a few years ago and I liked it for the most part. There were some things that I didn't like so much, and I thought that the ending was not as good as most of the build-up and setup for it. I did appreciate King's writing style. He can write some very vivid characters and he takes his time writing, which I really appreciate. All I knew about this book going in was that it was about a time traveler trying to stop the JFK assassination. This premise mixed with the author being King was enough for me to really want to read it. I was actually curious how the premise could be expanded into such a large book. Like, how does that one idea turn into 850 pages? Like, how much plot is there really to tell in just a guy time traveling to stop the JFK assassination? But it turns out there was a lot. I don't want to spoil anything. I will say that King works out his justifications for both time travel and the reason this quite regular main character, Jake Epping, develops his motivations for stopping the JFK assassination. Jake doesn't even set his eyes toward JFK until about 300 pages in, and even from there is a lot to do before an escapade can be attempted. Stephen King is known for his horror stories primarily. He's even known as the King of Horror, as I'm sure you know, but it turns out that he can write in other genres too. This book is not horror. I would say there is only a few scenes that even count as thrillers, and yet even these scenes caused me so much stress and thrill. There is so much on the line in every tense scene. However, most of the book is not like that. Most of it takes it at a much slower pace. I wouldn't call this bad. At least for me, I tend to enjoy books that take their time to develop their characters rather than rush through it. And I would say that the extra time is well spent. I think this is one of the better time travel stories that I've read, which isn't really a genre that I've done a deep study of. It's more of when it crosses my path. I tend to find time traveling stories kind of convoluted and there's usually plot holes. I did recently watch the Netflix show Dark, which might have been the best example of time travel fiction that I've seen so far. But even that, if you think about it too hard, has issues and paradoxes that come up, especially with the grandfather paradox. I think it has some serious issues if you scrutinize it too closely. Admittedly, I haven't really had as much time to think about this book as much. I only finished it about a week ago. But I haven't found any significant issues with the time travel yet. I haven't seen any paradoxes. I think a part of that is that while Dark is very kind of wrapped up in its time travel mechanics, that's kind of really the whole point. 11/22/63 is not really worried about it. Most of the book is just a guy doing various plot relevant things while in the 60s as a time traveler from 2011. And while the time travel mechanics become more relevant the deeper in you get, I think this story benefits from a much leaner form of time travel. I don't think that I'm spoiling very much to say that the time travel here is very straightforward. Every time you go through the portal, you come back in late summer of 1958. It's exactly the same time, and one of the mantras for how this works is that for 1958, it's always the first time. So time resets back to that exact date every time you go in, and that's about it. Dark, on the other hand, is very wrapped up in its cycles. If every time is the first time in 11/22/63, there was never a first time in Dark. It's a constant loop that resets itself by nature, and is characterized in the show as an Ouroboros devouring itself to feed the next loop over and over again. The end of this book is very good. It's intense and thrilling, but also really satisfying and conclusive. The hundreds of pages are well worth the reading, and I would recommend this chunk of tree to anyone who wants some quality time travel fiction with a unique premise that will take its time to build its characters and plot that has more to offer than just a mere time warping conspiracy plot. So yeah, that's 11/22/63. I'm probably going to jump back into some fantasy with Brandon Sanderson again. I'm gonna keep chipping away at that. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.